G'day guys, Seeney here and welcome to another episode on the Australian Wealth channel. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what Australian property values might look like in 2030. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people. So for the last forever, basically, the Australian property market has been one of the greatest drivers of wealth in this country. It's been absolutely phenomenal to see this over the last 25 and last 50 years. You know, it just continues to go on. And to the point where a lot of people are wondering, well, is Australian property actually worth what people are paying for it? Housing has gone up so much in the last few years. It's been absolutely drastic. So for this thought experiment, I wanted to delve into what property might look like in 2030. So that's about 8 years from now. And of course, this is just a thought experiment. I mean, we don't know. There's so many unknowns in the future, whether it be through interest rates, lending, other things that we don't know about. You know, there's so much that could happen, which could dictate where property prices go. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the average from the last 25 years or so of what the Australian property market has done. Now, of course, past performance is not a predictor of future performance, but it gives us a little bit of an idea of the trajectory of the Australian property market, because for the last ever, the property market has been continuing to rise. So I'm going to go through some numbers, and this you might find really interesting how this changes a little bit between cities. So make sure you like and subscribe. So this is data that I've pulled from CoreLogic and also from Aussie Home Loans. They've collated a lot of data from around the country over a very long period of time, which will give us some insight. So we are going to start with the biggest and most expensive city in Australia, and that is of course Sydney. Now, anyone that's been following the Sydney market has seen the prices go up 26% in the last year. It has been an incredible year for growth in Sydney. Now, this is not something that's going to happen every year. It's just been one of those special circumstances. So we're going to be taking the average from the last 20 years. So the median house price in Sydney at the moment is around $1.4 million, which is quite expensive. But if we fast forward 8 years, based on the average growth rate over the last 25 years, it puts Sydney house prices, just the median house price, mind you, to $2.25 million. So it's pretty expensive. It's a lot of money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
So Sydney has always been expensive and is going to continue to be expensive going forward. So this is what we can roughly expect by 2030. On top of this, we also have Brisbane, where the median house price currently sits at around $900,000. So that is of course going to change. Now, there's a number of different growth vectors for Brisbane which might lead to varied results. Now, one of the biggest ones is the Olympics, which means there's going to be a lot of infrastructure going in over the next 8 to 10 years, which is of course a great driver for the Brisbane property market. So currently, the median house price is around $900,000. We can expect the median house price over the next 8 years to rise to $1.3 million. Possibly $1.5 million because of the Olympics growth vector. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. Now, heading down to Mexico, we're going down south. The median house price in Melbourne currently is $1.04 million, which is also very expensive. We have a couple of cities here in Australia that are over that $1 million median price point. Melbourne is definitely one of them. We can expect Melbourne to rise to around 1.7 million in this period of time. Now, obviously, this might be higher, this might be lower. Rental conditions for landlords aren't so favorable in Victoria, so it might lead to less investment down there. We just don't know. But that is what is expected based on the growth trends over the last 25 years. Now, one that's been a bit of a surprise over the last couple of years has been Canberra, where the median house price is now actually outstripping Melbourne. There's so much demand for property in Canberra, I believe, because the yields were quite good. So a lot of investors were buying up in Canberra. So the median house price in Canberra is $1.07 million, which is also very expensive. expensive. But what we can expect is the median house price in Canberra to rise to $1.58 million. Now, this is potentially slightly lower than Melbourne, but that's because of the historical numbers that we've seen. Melbourne has traditionally had a higher growth rate than Canberra, but of course we don't know. This could change going forward. So following that one, we have Hobart, where the median house price is $960,000. So just under $1 million there. We can expect this to grow in 8 to 10 years to be around $1.46 million. So it's quite expensive, and for the rest of the capital cities around Australia, such as Adelaide and Perth, you can probably see a similar progression to something like Hobart. Things are definitely not going to be going down in value over time because it's just not happened for a very sustained period, and there's no growth vectors for that. As immigration turns back on and we turn that tap on, we have more people coming into this country, there's going to be a lot more demand for property, and as wages continue to rise and as businesses become more profitable, there's going to be more money that is able to be put into real estate. So if we look nationally, we take all of the capital cities and all of the regions, nationally the median is around $1.06 million for the average home, which is pretty crazy, but we can expect that to be $1.63 million by the time 2030 rolls around. So I guess the question is property expensive now, or is it really cheap if we compare it to the future? Now, it's something that you have to weigh up for yourself. I know personally I'm going to be continuing to buy property over the next few years because it has been an incredible driver for my wealth and the growth in my net worth. And that's the thing. Like, if you look on a longer time scale, the prices that we're seeing today might seem super expensive, but in 8 years' time, chances are they're going to be incredibly cheap. There is no way that you would potentially be able to pick up a house in Vaucluse for under $5 million, but in the future, that might be more like $10 million absolute minimum. So property is a phenomenal way to grow your wealth. It's one of the best ways I've found to help me grow mine. So of course, we don't know what the property market's going to do over the short term, but over the long term, up and to the right is the way to go. So that's over the next 8 years. It's anticipated, obviously there's more uncertainty because it's further away, but in the next 25 years, it's estimated that the Sydney median home value will be around $6 million. It'll be over that figure, which is absolutely crazy. So if you think it's too late for you to get into property, it might be worth reconsidering in the future. But of course, we don't know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think about this breakdown and breaking down the numbers of what property might look like in 2030. So it's very interesting to see these numbers. Of course, there's a lot of unknowns. So please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. If you'd like to get yourself free stock, I have a link to Stake in the description. And if you'd like to track your net worth, I also have a link to WeMoney, and that's where I track my net worth. You can put in all of your accounts and it does it automatically. It's really safe. It's read only. So I've found it's been a fantastic service, and they'll give you $5 just for signing up. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you later.